Hey, I thought I'd do a quick YouTube live stream to answer some questions about if you are new to teddy bear making, don't think that you have to have a bunch of new fancy tools. You can make them, you can start making teddy bears with just some basic tools. And of course, one of the tools you'll need are some scissors. I just use these Fiskars scissors. And then the next tool that you'd need are some needle nose pliers. Those are for helping to take care of turning your cotter pin joints, etc. And then, believe it or not, just an unsharpened pencil with the eraser end, maybe a chopstick with a dulled end. It's kind of rounded here. A Sharpie pen. This is a Sharpie Ultra Fine Point for drawing the patterns. A slicker brush. This is just from the pet store. And then for sewing, my favorite needles for stitching my bears, if I'm doing the hand sewing or if I'm closing the backs of the teddy bear parts, are these Quilter's basting needles. Now you don't have to use these, but I like these because they're about that long. They're skinny enough that they don't make a big hole in the fabric, but the eye for me is big enough that I can still thread it. And then I also need some 3-inch doll, soft sculpture doll needles. These are about that long. Let me see. There we go. And then the last needle is a 5-inch doll needle. This for inserting the eyes. And then of course you do need some pins. I got ball-headed pins like this to hold your pieces together when you're sewing. Or if you like to use, I like to use these instead of pins. They're alligator clips. So that's really all you need to start your bear making. But then if you find out that you really love making teddy bears and you want to expand your teddy bear making tools, one thing that will help is a mirror. The mirror helps you to get your ears on evenly, and then also to make sure that you place your eyes straight. My favorite scissors for cutting out the fabric are these Fiskars scissors. These are Fiskars, they're called Easy Action, and they're much easier on my hands. They're not that expensive. I think they're $15 a pair, but they're easier than, say, these if you're doing a lot of cutting. I still use these regular scissors for cutting the threads, etc. But another inexpensive but handy tool is an awl. And it is easier to make the holes in your teddy bear for the joints and for inserting your eyes. It's easier to use an awl than, say, one of your needles. But if you don't have an awl yet, you can just use one of your needles. I also like a pair of forceps. These can help to get stuffing in some of the tight places. If you are, let's see here, like if you're stuffing an arm, say, and you're feeling along the arm and you feel that there's a pocket that didn't get any stuffing, then I'll use a pair of forceps to grab the stuffing and slide it in there and place the stuffing right where I want it to be. Another great tool to have if you've decided to really get into teddy bear making and you decided it's okay, I'll spend a little more on this hobby, are these curved embroidery scissors. These help me a lot when I'm trimming faces. And speaking of faces, sometimes a pair of tweezers help. Another needle that would help you, and I find these on Amazon. This is a much thicker needle, and this is it's a CS Osborne round upholstery needle. This makes it much easier to insert your eyes because the needle is so much thicker. It really puts creates a larger hole to make it easier to pull the eye thread through the head. And I'll have links for all these down below after we finish the live. Later, like I said, if you decided you really enjoy making teddy bears and get addicted like I did, instead of turning your cotter pins with the needle nose pliers, you might decide that you want something dedicated to turning those. And these are, they used to be called cotter keys, but I think now they're just called cotter pin turners. And you can get these at teddy bear supply shops. I have one regular one, which is what I turn most of my regular size cotter pins with. But I also have a mini one, and this is for when I'm working on the miniatures. It is a much smaller, you can see, let's see, here is that one compared to that. So this will turn the tiny cotter pins without breaking them like the other one might. I also happen to use this miniature cotter pin turner as a stuffing tool most of the time. Another tool you might want to invest in is just a battery operated mustache trimmer. I use this a lot when I'm trimming my bear's muzzles. And then there's also, on Amazon, they have different stuffing sticks, and those help a bit. If you've decided when you make your teddy bears that you like using bolts and lock nuts, because they create stiffer limbs in the joints. I often use bolts and lock nuts in my bears that are 10 inches or bigger, sometimes 9 inches. And I'll use them in the arms and the legs, but I'll still usually use a cotter pin in the neck. But to tighten those joints up, you'll need some, I forget what these are called. And these are nut drivers, sorry. Or you can get wrenches, but I like the nut drivers better. Most of my bears, when if I'm using joints that are with discs and bolts and lock nuts, I'll use the 1/8 of an inch in diameter bolts. So for those size, and I'm here in the US, by the way, so I'll use inches instead of metric. This one is a 5/16 inch, and that's for the, I think this is for the nut side, and then for the head, this is a 1/4 inch. So you'll need one of each, because each side, the bolt and the lock nut side, are slightly different sizes. And those are the sizes that I use. And then I also recommend you, this is not exactly a tool, but I use it for every bear I make. It's Aleene's Stop Fraying. It's a type of fabric glue to stop the fraying of fabrics. Most of the fabrics I use don't fray too badly, but I like to use this on all my seam openings because it adds strength then when I close it. And then, of course, you can always use a sewing machine. That, of course, is a little bit more expensive tool, and you might not have one. If you don't have one, don't let that stop you from making teddy bears. You can sew them by hand. And I'll make sure to have a link under this video when we're done for my video that shows you how to hand sew. And then, of course, the fun things are you need something to store all your tools in. So I love these types of organizers. It used to be like a tackle box for fishing, but now they realized a lot of crafters like to use them for their crafts, so they made them in pretty colors now. Well, that's all I really have for you this time. And if you have any questions or about any of the tools that I showed you today, make sure to make a mention in the comments and I'll do my best to answer your questions. And like I said, I will get links to all these tools down below. They are Amazon affiliate links, which means I will get a very small portion of the sale of the tools, but it doesn't cost you any extra. And in case you're wondering who I am, I'm Laura Lynn from Teddies by Laura Lynn. I've been making teddy bears for over 25 years professionally, and I love to share with other people how to make teddy bears. I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know what else you'd like to see. Thanks. Bye.